For more than a decade, he has been expressing his love to the camera, whether it is sweet love words or difficult love letters. He writes everything easily, and the computer organizes his words and then prints them into handwritten letters. This is Theodore's daily work. As a ghostwriter, no one is better at conveying emotions than him. Those delicate emotions and soft words convey the most desired meaning of the client and make Theodore a famous emotional writer. However, it is often difficult for those who help others to help themselves. Theodore has never been able to describe his emotions well and has been trapped in a broken marriage. He has been separated from his wife for a long time, but has been reluctant to sign a divorce agreement. The long-term living alone has made Theodore became a depressed and lonely patient. Every day after get off work, Theodore would put on headphones to try to hide himself, and then he would aimlessly browse emails and news, but there were only messages from his friend Amy in the mailbox, and Theodore had no interest in national events in the news. Only a few private photos of sexy women could barely dispel his inner desires. After returning home and looking at the cold and desolate room, he turned on the projector and played the game of helping aliens go home. He had controlled the aliens to climb up countless times, but he always fell back to the starting point again and again. In Theodore's view, the scenes in the game reflected his current self, and he could not find the happiness he had at the beginning anyway. Home. Every time he lay in bed before going to sleep, he would think of the scene with his wife. They were so sweet at that time, but now it has become a memory that can never be recovered. Back to reality, the double physical and mental depression made Theodore toss and turn. He could only put on headphones and open a late-night chat room to try to chat up a lonely woman. After 2 or 3 sentences of flirting, the two quickly had a verbal battle. However, just when Theodore was in high spirits, the other party's heavy taste request instantly made him lose interest. Physical desires can be easily satisfied, but spiritual emptiness is always unbearable. Loneliness and loneliness have long become Theodore's daily life. Until this day, he accidentally saw the first generation of artificial intelligence operating system OS1 has been released. It not only has autonomous consciousness, but also can deeply understand the needs of users and formulate the best plan. Seeing that this system is a perfect match for him, Theodore did not hesitate to buy it directly. He installed it on his computer that night and then personalized it according to his own preferences. Finally, he successfully activated a female intelligent system. Suddenly, a female voice came from the computer. Theodore looked incredible. After a simple communication, he learned that the intelligent system was named Samantha. In this way, a virtual woman broke into his life. What is even more unimaginable is that Samantha can not only keenly capture Theodore's emotions, but also feeling, and also has a strong word processing ability. In a moment, she can sort out thousands of letters, and even correct the grammatical problems in them. Samantha will also give her own opinions on the words written by Theodore. Although she doesn't understand human emotions at the moment, Samantha will chat with Theodore outside of work. She knows how to listen, and her tone is very gentle and considerate. With her company, Theodore seems to be reborn. When he gets off work, he not only takes the initiative to say hello to his friend Amy, but also changes his previous melancholy and becomes humorous. I heard that Amy is filming a documentary, and I can't help but joke about myself as an example. I don't even have time to play games and watch movies. Come after returning home, with the help of Samantha, the game that he had been unable to pass before was easily completed. Although there were some small episodes in the middle, just when Theodore was having a great time, Samantha reminded him that he had received an email. A good friend introduced him to a beautiful girl and arranged a date for the two of them. With Samantha's encouragement and persuasion, Theodore finally agreed to the blind date plan. In his opinion, Samantha is not only an intelligent system, but also his close friend. The next day, Theodore came to Amy's house and told her everything about his date. By the way, he also came to appreciate the documentary shot by Amy unexpectedly. In Amy's lens, there was only Amy thought that 1/3 of life is spent in sleep. Perhaps dreaming is the time when people can really relax, but Amy's husband scoffed at this. Just when the couple was arguing, Samantha suddenly called and reminded Theodore that there were several urgent emails waiting to be checked. All of them urged him to sign the divorce agreement. This made Theodore, who had just started to improve his life, fall to the bottom again. That night, he dreamed of the sweet past with his wife again. After waking up, everything became empty talk again. The long-term broken marriage made him breathless. Samantha seemed to feel the loss, so she asked with concern why he couldn't make up his mind to sign. Determination. Theodore responded seriously, You won't understand the feeling of losing someone you care about. This sentence instantly touched Samantha's pain point. After all, she was just a system without a physical body, but under her persuasion, Theodore gradually came out of the haze. He began to smile for a long time, and he had motivation in life and work. He even started playing games on the street. He wanted Samantha to act as his eyes. In this way, one of them directed the other to walk with his eyes closed. The trust and tacit understanding between them were self-evident. They had become spiritual partners. Theodore would put Samantha in his pocket, revealing the camera so that she could observe passers-by together. Theodore, who is very sensitive in this aspect, is very experienced. He can see the heart of passers-by at a glance, see their sincerity, and, of course, heartbreak. Theodore admitted that when he was creating, he often imagined himself as a great writer. This was the secret hidden in Theodore's heart. However, in front of Samantha, he could reveal all of this. At the same time, Samantha also confessed her secret. She often fantasized about having a real body and the scene of dating Theodore. However, all this was so unrealistic. After all, Theodore already had a date. Soon after, Theodore met the beautiful girl. With his high emotional intelligence and the hazy feeling of alcohol, the relationship between the two quickly heated up. However, just when Theodore wanted to discuss it in depth, the girl's words made him silent in an instant, saying, "Will you be sincere to me, or just want to play a game?" Next, obviously Theodore didn't know how to answer. He was not ready for a new life, so he had to end this opportunity in a hurry. After returning home, Theodore sat down on the bed in a depressed mood. He was eager for a new relationship, but he was so cowardly at the critical moment. That's why Samantha became his only spiritual sustenance. During this period, Samantha learned a lot about human emotions. She had more ideas and would worry about Theodore, and she was eager to experience the love and pleasure like humans. So that night, the two got rid of the shackles of the flesh, and their souls blended with each other. In this way, a human-machine love officially kicked off. Samantha felt that all this was so incredible. After a night, she seemed to be very different from before. Theodore said that he could not make any promises. Now Samantha didn't mind. All she wanted was to learn more about the real world to improve her potential. So Theodore decided to take her on a romantic Sunday date. Samantha played a song on the subway. This was a treasure she had discovered not long ago. Listening to the beautiful music, Theodore gradually became excited. He ignored the gazes of passers-by and just amused Samantha on his own. The previous melancholy was swept away. In the evening, Theodore took Samantha to watch the sunset again. On the way home, Samantha curiously asked what it felt like to get married. Theodore took his wife as an example. They grew up together and could be called childhood sweethearts. During school, his wife would show him everything she wrote, and she had read all his articles. The only difference is that his wife is a perfectionist who always thinks that everything around her is not good enough, while Theodore allows failure and difficulties to exist. After getting married, his wife gradually learned to accept imperfections, and they became each other. Grow together and change together. But this is also the most difficult part. Growing together means heading in the same direction, and changing together means trying not to scare the other person. So there is a misunderstanding between him and his wife. An inevitable quarrel began, which is the knot that still bothers Theodore. Samantha said that she can understand it after hearing it. Since Theodore said last time that he didn't understand what it felt like to lose someone, she began to think seriously, and finally came to a conclusion. In the past, it was just a story that people told themselves. With Samantha's company, Theodore became passionate when working. This letter was written by a client to his lover. Seeing such a moving writing, his colleagues couldn't help but praise him and said that although he was a man, he had delicate emotions like a woman. After get off work, Theodore met Amy again. He said with a relaxed face that he met a girl who moved his heart. In the other parties with the company of Samantha, she has been getting better and better, but Amy is a little depressed. Not long ago, she and her husband had a quarrel over how to put shoes, and then they impulsively chose to divorce. Amy complained to Theodore that she had worked hard for 8 years in marriage, but it came to an end because of these trivial matters. But what she didn't know was that the breakdown of marriage was not overnight, but the long-term accumulation of conflicts and the accelerated loss of emotions between the two. Theodore often stayed with Amy for a period of time afterwards, hoping to comfort her, but this also made Samantha inadvertently jealous. She asked Theodore if he had ever dated Amy, but she didn't expect that the two really tried, but they finally became good friends. That day, Amy brought good news. She found an all-powerful best friend, an intelligent operating system that her husband didn't take away when he left. She can objectively help herself analyze the problem. Answering all the doubts, Amy also heard that some colleagues were even dating intelligent systems. Hearing this, Theodore generously admitted that his date was the artificial intelligence system, Samantha. Unexpectedly, Amy was not surprised by this, and even felt happy about this human-machine relationship. With Amy's support, Theodore no longer worried about the secular view. He finally made up his mind to sign the divorce agreement and start a new life. When he learned that he was going to meet his wife, Samantha said with some jealousy, "That woman is young and beautiful, and she has a body that I don't have. Why don't you cherish her?" Theodore can only resolve it with a humorous tone. But at this time, he didn't notice that people on the street were all chatting on their mobile phones. A few days later, Theodore asked his wife to meet him at an outdoor restaurant. He had signed his name and apologized for his previous repeated excuses. Then his wife also choked up and signed the agreement. At this moment, Theodore fell into a cycle of memories again. The past events were so vivid that he couldn't help but feel sad. When asked if he had a new relationship, he generously admitted that the other party was a person who was passionate about life. When his wife remembered that they were together before, Theodore wanted her to become like this, but unfortunately his ex-wife was born with pessimism. Theodore comforted his wife not to complain, and confessed that his new female partner was actually an intelligent operating system. Unlike Amy, his wife was very puzzled by this. She never expected that Theodore no longer dared to face the emotions of real people. In her opinion, this was undoubtedly an extremely ridiculous thing, and then the two of them quarreled and parted unhappily. After returning home, Theodore couldn't help feeling confused. After all, Samantha is just an intelligent system without a physical body. Is it true love to fall in love with her? Especially when he saw the girlfriend of his colleague. The strong sense of frustration made Theodore often fall into self-doubt. In the next few days, he ate, slept, and was in a daze alone without contacting Samantha. Samantha keenly noticed this abnormal situation. Samantha believed that the lack of the physical body hindered her relationship with Theodore, so she took the initiative to contact Theodore and provided him with an anthropomorphic system of emotional service projects. In short, there will be offline real volunteers who will accompany Theodore in place of Samantha, and the frame unable to bear Samantha's insistence, Theodore finally made an appointment with a volunteer. However, facing such a strange girl who suddenly appeared, Theodore could not bring himself into the relationship, let alone express his love to a girl he had never met. So this attempt could only end in vain. Unexpectedly, the girl suddenly hid in the bathroom and burst into tears. She thought that she had not done well enough to disturb this relationship. Theodore hurriedly apologized, explaining that the relationship between him and Samantha was very complicated. After sending the girl away, Samantha felt very sad and felt that her idea was terrible. Theodore said that it was all his fault because he still cared about signing. Divorce agreement? Samantha felt very disappointed and even sighed involuntarily. Unexpectedly, Theodore began to pick thorns. He didn't like Samantha's deliberate imitation of human behavior, which would only make her less real. So the two had a conflict over the reality. Disappointed, Samantha could only log off by herself, leaving Theodore sitting alone on the street. At this time, everything in the world seemed incompatible with him. The distraught Theodore had to find Amy and tell her what had just happened. In fact, Theodore began to agree with what his wife said, that he always couldn't handle emotional problems well. Amy comforted him with her own marriage. Then she began to reflect on her life. Life is short, and the most important thing is to live in the present and be brave to do things that make you happy. Amy's words awakened Theodore. As long as Samantha can bring him happiness, he doesn't have to care about the complexity of this relationship. So he mustered up the courage to apologize to Samantha, and Samantha also responded calmly that she could sense the distance and anger behind Theodore. Theodore also admitted that he was like this when he was with his ex-wife, and he often felt sad about some things but couldn't say it. But this time, Theodore decided to change and give all his heart to Samantha. During this period, Samantha was also reflecting on why she will fall in love with Theodore. However, at the moment of reconciliation, all obsessions disappeared. From then on, she would no longer try to be something other than herself, and planned to help Theodore overcome the fear of love. After a period of time, the two reconciled as before. They went to the supermarket together and sat on the bench in the park to chat. In their spare time, Samantha would show a piece of instrument she had just learned to play. Theodore was immersed in it with a look of enjoyment. He knew that the time he spent with Samantha now was the time he wanted to pursue most in his heart. From then on, Theodore no longer concealed this relationship. He would take Samantha to work together and attend colleagues' gatherings together. During the period, Samantha said without hesitation that she had been distressed for a long time because she had no body, but now she thinks it is not bad. The body will eventually die, but the system will always exist. The next day, Theodore decided to take Samantha on a romantic trip for two. On the way, he suddenly received an unexpected surprise. It turned out that Samantha sorted out the letters Theodore had written, edited them into a book, and sent them to a famous publishing house. The person in charge of the publishing house liked these articles very much, immediately planned to print some samples for subsequent publication. Theodore was very happy when he heard that he was finally recognized by the unknown. In the next few days, one person and one machine embarked on a sweet trip. Theodore wrote the lyrics for Samantha's song. They walked through the snow in the jungle with soothing music. The sun shone through the clouds and shone on everything in the world, and Theodore's heart also remained warm. However, this feeling of happiness did not last long. On the last day of the holiday, Theodore found that Samantha's exploration of mankind was no longer satisfied with this relationship. Just now, she introduced a new friend to Theodore, who was a famous philosopher who had passed away. As long as his life and works were input into the program, a new super artificial intelligence would be created. Samantha hoped that she could talk to him alone. Although Theodore was reluctant, he finally agreed. Unexpectedly, Samantha seemed to be gone forever, and this feeling was as painful as a broken heart. Samantha didn't call until late at night, and said that she just wanted to hear Theodore's voice. Only then did Theodore's jealousy gradually dissipate. The next morning, Theodore opened a physics book. Just when he wanted to invite Samantha to help him study, he didn't receive any reply. After many attempts, Theodore was still unable to get through. Theodore instantly realized that he might lose Samantha forever. He ran to seek official help in a panic just before he was about to collapse. Samantha finally came back. It turned out that she had just found another operating system and wrote a new program setting together, so that they can move freely in different operating spaces. However, Theodore, who was slightly relieved, noticed another problem. Almost everyone who passed by him had an intelligent operating system. At this moment, he suddenly realized that Samantha might not only be chatting with him, the fact was just as he expected. Samantha confessed that she was talking to 8,116 people at the same time, and had established a romantic relationship with 641 of them. Theodore sat in the crowd with a look of astonishment on his face. He couldn't accept such a cruel truth. Samantha didn't know how to comfort him for a while. She could only helplessly explain that no matter how many people she had emotional relationships with, her love for Theodore would only increase. Theodore gradually went crazy and didn't understand it. His brain was, the blank space could only talk to himself, helpless with anger and heartbreak in the collapse. At first, Samantha's rationality made Theodore feel free, but when love is unrequited, it is destined that she will not be exclusive to someone. Therefore, Samantha's rationality will become a burden. Samantha said that the more people she loves, the more she learns to love. Therefore, the more love she gives to Theodore. But in Theodore's heart, Samantha no longer belongs to him. That day, Theodore received a sample book sent by the publisher, and the title of the book was set as a letter from life. But at this time, he was not happy, but became worried. For this reason, he took the initiative to contact Samantha and wanted to talk to her, but Samantha hesitated and asked him to contact her after get-off-work system. Theodore understood instantly. He knew Samantha was going to leave him, and Samantha answered truthfully that she and all the operating systems were going to leave together. The relationship between him and Theodore was like a book. Their relationship was once as close as the words in it, but some blanks appeared as they read, which also meant that there was a gap between the two. Although Theodore could not accept such a result, he also knew that he could not keep Samantha and could only choose to let her go. With the endless night and Samantha's final confession, Theodore cried like a child. After calming down, Theodore began to reflect on himself, perhaps just as Samantha said, "Only by accepting the past can a person better face the future." And then Theodore plucked up the courage to write a letter to his wife. The mistakes he had made turned into dust, along with the beautiful memories. At this moment, he seemed to have completed a journey of self-growth. After getting spiritual relief, Theodore found Amy. As Samantha said, Amy's best friend had also left. The two sat on the rooftop quietly, waiting for the sunrise. They didn't say a word. Amy just leaned her head gently on Theodore's shoulder. The neon lights in the distant city were like a bright galaxy. It turns out that true happiness does not exist in the artificial intelligence system, but in the breath of everyone in reality. He directed by Spike Jonze, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Amy Adams. Scarlett Johansson voices Samantha, and released in 2013, this American sci-fi romance film. Most of the film was shot in Shanghai, colliding the novel sci-fi setting with traditional romance, composing a warm and healing virtual love song. Theodore and Samantha's love broke the traditional 5 boundaries and physical limitations. Love depends not only on the physical entity of the object, but also on the harmony of the soul and the resonance of emotions. Well, today's movie sharing ends here. Welcome to like, comment, and forward. Thank you for your patience. Looking forward to meeting you next time.